Welcome to Arizona Living. I'm your host, Danielle Lerner, and we're at Central Arizona Project's Canal talking about Earth Day and the way some Arizona companies are working to conserve our resources. But before we get to that, here's a look at what's coming up on the show. We see how the Central Arizona Project is supplying water for the future. We learn the ways OdySea Aquarium is helping to conserve in our community. Plus, I talked to Governor Hobbs about some of her goals for Arizona. That and much more coming up on Arizona Living. The Central Arizona Project delivers Colorado River water to more than 80% of our state's population living in Maricopa, Canal, and Pima counties.
Hi, my name is Orestes Morfin. I'm a senior policy analyst with the Colorado River Programs Group here at Central Arizona Project. Behind me is the Picacho pumping plant, and this plant is the 8th plant in the line on the canal, and this plant includes 6 pumps that are rated 5,550 horsepower each. They raise water approximately 232 feet up to the next drop. Our water is distributed to 80% of the population in the central part of the state, and we serve ag districts, municipalities, and federally recognized tribes. The CAP system began construction in 1973, which makes this the 50th anniversary of its construction, and it was completed in 1993 south of Tucson. In addition, the beginning of the repayment obligation to pay back the federal government. Today, our workforce still maintains the canal infrastructure to continue to provide Colorado River water to the central part of the state for generations of Arizonans to come. The future of CAP will include augmentation efforts on our part, conservation, recovery, and reuse, things like weather modification in the upper basin, binational desal efforts to shore up our supply on the river. For conservation, we are actively supporting things like irrigation efficiency in some of our agricultural districts, and even some outside of our service area. We are also actively studying ways to reuse and recycle water with some partnerships, including the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, the Southern Nevada Water Authority, to see how that might be incorporated into our future. Lastly, actively looking into ways that we might be able to recover some of the groundwater supplies that have been stored in our many facilities along the length of the canal, and that might help us beef up supplies in time of shortage. You can find out more about the CAP system on knowyourwaternews.com.
Education and conservation are at the heart of OdySea Aquarium's mission, and they're ready to kick off Earth Day with Party for the Planet.
OdySea Aquarium, we are a relatively new aquarium here in Arizona. We opened in 2016 in Scottsdale, and ever since the inception, the mission for this place has really been to be leaders in the conservation world. So we really want to be the ones taking the charge and protecting the biodiversity of our planet. At OdySea Aquarium, because we're so conservation focused, Earth Day is really important to us. And we don't just do Earth Day, we do Earth Month. Starting on April 2nd, we're gonna have our 5K fundraiser that kicks it all off, raising awareness for our friends the sharks. And then we're also doing a lot of partnership stuff with Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community this year. Party for the Planet is actually a global holiday which is hosted by Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and it encompasses Earth Day, Endangered Species Day, and World Ocean Day. So it's really a 3-month-long holiday. We have a whole bunch of special things going on internally and externally to celebrate those 3 holidays.
Happy Earth Day!
We will be out on Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community land for Earth Day. We'll also be doing some invasive species removals. We will be giving our in-house pollinator garden, which is just in the back area if you've ever come to the aquarium, a little makeover. So there's gonna be a bench going out there, some new signage, so everybody else can learn how to create healthy pollinator pathways at their own homes. And then we will also be bringing back conservation crafts, which is one of my favorite initiatives here within Odyssey Aquarium. Conservation crafts is an opportunity for youth to get involved. So kids 12 and under are encouraged to make a piece of art out of recycled material, and we're gonna do it a little different this year. We want you to make your favorite animal. And then get online, learn a little bit about that animal, and fill out the worksheet that you'll find on OdySeaAquarium.com. If you bring your artwork and your worksheet in, we will give you a free kids admission ticket, so you can come in and see your art on display in the building, which is super fun. Cox Communication is an incredibly important conservation partner here at Odyssey Aquarium. Not only has Cox come and help co-host several of our cleanups throughout the years, but they've also helped fund some of our work, whether that is research, helping the nonprofit partner, the Odyssey Aquarium Foundation, or there's a great educational display upstairs, and that's all thanks to Cox Communication being awesome partners. I've lived my whole life wanting to do better, and I'm in an opportunity now, I'm in a place now that I can encourage others to do that and to lead by example. And Odyssey Aquarium's really given me an amazing platform and a huge reach and an audience. Join us for one of our cleanups. We have at least 2 huge public ones every year, and we love for everyone to turn out to those. You can find our events on our website, OdySeaAquarium.com.
Here's a fun fact. The Central Arizona Project has made it part of their strategic plan to reduce their carbon footprint. Some of the ways they do this is through 4-day work weeks, using LED light bulbs in all of their plants, and promoting carpooling. Pretty cool stuff. But hey, don't go anywhere just yet. We've got more Arizona Living coming up. We'll see how one group is trying to save our iconic saguaros. And we sit down with Governor Hobbs to discuss her goals for our state.
Arizona Opera presents its 2022-2023 season with performances in Phoenix and Tucson. Don't miss the unforgettable music, drama, and spectacle. Purchase your season tickets or single tickets today at azopera.org.
I sat down with Arizona Governor Hobbs to talk about her first few months in office and her vision for Arizona. We're here with Arizona Governor Hobbs. Governor Hobbs, thanks so much for taking time for us today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Just to get started, tell me, how have these first few months been going for you? They've been busy, I'm sure.
Well, we're certainly settling in, but busy is a good description. We are focused on building an Arizona for everyone, and so we're really have been focused on getting out into communities and hearing from Arizonans what they want.
Now, it's been said that, women leaders are held to a different standard than their male counterparts. Has that been your experience? And if so, how have you worked through that?
I think I'm fortunate. I am a social worker, and I worked in, it's a very female-dominated field, so I always had strong female bosses and role models who really mentored me. So again, I never felt held back by my gender. When I was in the legislature, we were pretty equal in terms of numbers. So, I just keep moving forward, and that's the best way to handle it, I think.
I'm so glad that you brought up your background in social work, because you actually said that it was a lack of leadership that inspired you to run, specifically when it comes to advocating for domestic abuse survivors. So in your experience, in your opinion, what do you think was missing?
Well, I was advocating for domestic abuse survivors when I decided to run for office, but really as a social worker, I saw a lack of voice for a lot of vulnerable folks in our communities, and the changes I was trying to make, things that would provide more funding for services for victims or hold offenders more accountable, it was really hard to make any kind of change, and something that really is a nonpartisan issue. And I felt like folks I represented needed a stronger voice at the Capitol, and so I decided to run for office. And really my focus has been about making government work better for the people. I think as a social worker, I believe that government should be a force for good. It requires leadership that believes that to do that.
Yeah, that was my next question, actually. With your background in social work, working with so many different folks throughout the community for so many years, how will that help you serve Arizona as governor? That's a pretty unique background there.
Well, as a social worker, I think my focus has always been about bringing people together to solve problems, whether that's addressing the needs of an individual or a community, and as governor, the whole state. I think it's kept me really focused on how we are getting out into communities, hearing from Arizonans about what they need, and how we can bring people from diverse backgrounds together to solve some of our toughest challenges.
I was going to say, certainly no easy feat, but what would you say is your biggest challenge as governor?
You know, I'll be really honest and say the legislature has been more than a little challenging. I think that I don't have a different mandate from voters than they have. I heard from people across the state during the campaign that they wanted leaders who were going to work together to tackle our toughest challenges, funding public education, addressing our water crisis and our housing crisis, and so much more. I wasn't hearing from different constituents than the Republican majority in the legislature, and yet they're trying to tackle issues that aren't these big problems. And I still have optimism that we can find common ground and come together and address some of these issues, but it's going to take a lot of work to get there.
I know you have a lot of goals, as you mentioned, a lot of things on your plate, but what would you say, if you could sum it up, what do you hope to achieve while in office as governor?
I am hopeful that we are really able to tackle some of these tough issues that the can has really been kicked down the road on. We haven't addressed our water crisis in a meaningful way that's setting us up for long-term success in the future, but we have a really strong bipartisan base to draw from with the groundbreaking Groundwater Management Act in 1980. If we can take from those leaders and their example and do something like that again, it would really set us up and be the most significant action on water management in the state that's happened in decades. And that's not the only challenge we have. A lot of challenges we need to tackle to make Arizona a place where everyone can thrive.
Well, Governor, it was such an honor to speak with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
The Central Arizona Project's canal not only offers reliable delivery of water, but it also gave us the Cap Trail. You may have seen people walking, biking, horseback riding, or jogging. Really so many benefits for all Arizonans. But we'll be right back with more on Arizona Living. The iconic saguaro cacti are under threat in our state. We follow the effort to protect it and reasons why you shouldn't be washing your car at home.
Turn your car into cash the same day when you sell to Sands. Get $500 more than any other offer. We'll pay you on the spot and even pick it up. Visit the Sands showroom online or in Glendale or Surprise. You're in great hands with Sands.
The iconic saguaro is a staple of the Sonoran Desert, and the Tucson Audubon Society is on a mission to save them.
Saguaros are the first thing that pop into people's minds when they think of Arizona or the desert in general. But for 14 different kinds of birds, they're also a hotel. That's where they live. But it's also the grocery store. Saguaros are flowering and fruiting in May and June when the desert is crispy brown and dry. It's the only good food out there for lots of different types of birds. So without saguaros providing those key food resources in that really dry time, it would just make the desert that much more inhospitable. there are two main threats. The first is wildfire, and the bush fire outside of Phoenix a couple of years ago wiped out over 400,000 mature saguaros and lost years of living, because saguaros can live for 200 to 300 years. The second major threat for saguaros right now is two different aspects of a changing climate. The first piece of that is that winters are having more frequent big freezes, and freezes are one of the things that can kill saguaros. The second thing is that saguaros are really picky about what type of precipitation they need in order to sprout and survive. And because of increasing variation in our rainfall patterns, it's really unusual that we get a wet monsoon, a wet winter, and then another wet monsoon, all back to back, which is what a saguaro needs. And all of the climate models are predicting that to get less frequent, just making it harder and harder for saguaros into the future. We're trying to tackle the main threats to the saguaros using different aspects. The first is where there are, we're trying to make sure that they don't get lost due to wildfires. And so we're working really hard with a huge consortium of people to try to make sure that invasive plants don't get a foothold there that could lead to wildfires. The second piece that we're doing is where fires have already occurred. We're trying to go in and jumpstart the reestablishment of saguaros in those areas by planting little saguaro seedlings, only a few inches tall, but big enough and hardy enough that they're able to survive without being irrigated. The third thing is that in areas that are not currently good saguaro habitat, but that all the climate models suggest will become good saguaro habitat 100 years from now, we're trying to help saguaros migrate to those areas by planting slightly bigger saguaros in those areas. There are lots of ways that the average person can help in all of our work, but especially with the Saguaro Project. You can volunteer to help us plant saguaros when we have volunteer days. You and your neighbors can make sure that you're removing bufflegrass and stinknet from your neighborhood when you find it. We've got options for joining with your friends and neighbors to donate and adopt a saguaro or adopt a saguaro seedling. Even if you can't be out there directly planting it yourself, you can sponsor somebody else to plant a saguaro for you. If you'd like to know more, check us out online. We'd love to work with you to protect our beautiful desert.
Another way the Central Arizona Project is working to help our planet is by diverting 1,800 tons from the landfill every year. And they've received national recognition for those efforts. Don't go away. Our Earth Day celebration continues here on Arizona Living. We tell you if it's better for the environment to clean your car at home or at a car wash, and simple ways you can conserve at home. You may enjoy pulling the car into the driveway and giving it a good wash, but it's not the best for the planet. The folks at Superstar Car Wash tell us why.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Kierman. I'm the Executive Vice President here at Superstar Car Wash. Superstar Car Wash was founded in 1993 in Chandler with our first full-service location. We grew slowly through full-service locations, but in 2008 opened our first express, and we've been growing ever since. As consumers began to change, time became a premium for them, and with an express model, you can get your car washed in 3 minutes or less. Superstar Car Wash currently has 28 locations in the Valley, 6 full service, 22 express locations, but we're growing like crazy, and within the next 2 months, plan to have between 5 and 7 more locations here in Arizona. Most people don't realize that when you wash your car at home, you use 4 times as much water than you would if you got your car washed in a professional wash. On average, we use anywhere between 15 and 25 gallons to wash a car, where at home, you'll use upwards of 100 gallons in order to get your car clean. With water being a resource and one that's at its premium, especially here in the desert, we want to make sure that every drop of water that's used at Superstar Car Wash is used effectively and efficiently. Superstar Car Wash uses reverse osmosis in order to filter our water and strip it of minerals that could leave spots on your vehicle. We then use that reject water in our high pressure sprayers so that we can do a pre-soak as well as on your tires, so that by the time you get to the spot-free rinse, you're using the best water and no water goes to waste. Superstar Car Wash strives to be part of the local communities in which we serve. And so we partner with organizations such as Phoenix Children's Hospital, Big Brothers Big Sisters, St. Vincent de Paul from a macro perspective, but we also will get involved in local fundraisers. And this year is going to be our second year as a proud sponsor of the high school football game of the week, where we present the Superstar Player of the Game right here on your view. Advantages to getting your car washed at Superstar Car Wash start with our people. We've got some of the greatest, most friendliest associates in the car wash business. But not only that, you get your car washed, it comes out very, very clean. But we have free vacuums. Depending on the wash you get, you'll get an air freshener, a dash wipe. We have free microfiber towels. And if you're running low on air in your tires, you can fill them up here as well. Well, if you want a free car wash, here's what you do. Text COX, C-O-X, to 27800. We'll give you a free wash to come down and try us out. But if you want to know more about us, go to superstarcarwashaz.com, where you can sign up for a monthly unlimited plan or just find the location nearest you.
As we mark the 53rd year of Earth Day, here are some simple things you can do in your daily life to help care for Mother Earth. At home, you can reduce your energy use by sealing your heating and cooling ducts, switch out your current light bulbs for LED, and purchase Energy Star appliances. And adjust your thermostat a couple of degrees up in the summer and down in the winter. It'll help your system run less and save you money all year long. Try creating a tree-free home, which means using as little paper as possible. Replace paper napkins with cloth napkins and use washable towels instead of paper towels. If you have to print documents, print on once-used paper or buy recycled paper. And take a trip to the library to get your books, newspapers, or magazines instead of buying them. Conserve water as much as possible by installing low-flow shower heads and toilets. Run full loads of laundry and dishes, or select the short cycle to run at low water levels whenever possible. And water your plants at night to minimize evaporation. The list is long on how to lessen our carbon footprint, and with each small step, we can all make an impact. You can go to earthday.org to find more tips. Thanks for joining us. I'm Danielle Lerner, and we'll see you next time on Arizona Living, where we help you create an inspired life.